There are a lot of similarities between where we are in the 2020s and where we were in the 1920s and 1930s. We can talk about it militarily on one level. We can talk about it in the giddiness of where we are in the creation of new technologies, and we can talk about it economically. Let's at the moment just focus in on the economics, and this is not simply an issue of a Trump issue, but it's a Republican and Democratic issue in the way they've treated you and me as a piggy bank and the holders of debt for the U.S. economy. uh, First of all, the uh, but the Trump administration this year, he had promised that tariffs, which are really just a tax on American people, don't, no matter what he says or anybody else says, it's not paid by foreign governments. It's paid by either U.S. companies or U.S. citizens who are otherwise taxpayers. He said we have so much money we can reduce the deficit. The fact of the matter is, our deficit so far this year has increased from about 35 uh, uh, plus $1 trillion to 18 trillion or to 38 trillion dollars, an increase between somewhere around 1.7 to 1.8 trillion dollars, and it's increasing by the day. So far this year, we have paid $1 trillion for interest on that debt. And don't think for a minute that's coming out of Jeff Bezos' pocket or Trump's pocket, because they've given themselves tax breaks to them and their richest friends. The middle class in this country is beginning to disappear, if not has disappeared. 50% of the wealth or more in this country is held by 1% of the people. There's something wrong with that. Inflation's going up. Housing is becoming unaffordable to people. The government is destroying the basis to make intelligent decisions on where we are in the economy because they fired everybody at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So we can only get statistics from private sources, but it's showing that unemployment is up, consumer confidence is down, and and debt levels on both a personal and government level are rising to unsustainable levels. The guardrails that were created in the 1920s and 1930s, really in the 1930s, came into existence because of pretty shady, uh, perhaps legal, but shady business practices in the 1920s that helped lead to the Great Depression. Trump and his people are taking away those guardrails, and they're taking away the ability to assess the accuracy of what their statements are. But we know from history that virtually every one of their statements is false. What they're now taking to saying is, well, we have to experience this pain for greater growth and greater income next year or the year after. Nonsense. There's no historical basis for making those statements. And in fact, one of the best examples of the way they're dealing with this is Trump continues to pardon people who have been convicted and put in jail for massive fraud and ordered to pay tens of millions of dollars of restitution by court order, and he's commuted their sentences and said you don't have to pay anything. So who gets screwed by that? It's the little guy gets screwed. Who's going to get in the 1920s? There was great optimism about everything from cars to radio to the very new concept of being created of televisions. Even back then, were being talked about, but other aircraft and long distance flight. It goes on and on of the excitement, the same way that people were talking with some fear of the excitement of AI and where it's going to take us. Um, who gets screwed in this if it doesn't work out and this excitement is overblown? The little guy, the guy who's middle class or below and not part of the 1% who owns everything, and they don't care what happens to the rest of us. This isn't a Republican or Democrat issue. This is not a Trump issue. This is a you and me issue. to look at and demand the facts, demand the truth, and demand that these people pay attention to what they're supposed to be doing and start providing answers to these issues. I think it's Congress vote was actually in session 87 days in the year 2025. They were paid for all that work. They have health care. They're taking away the health care of everybody else in this country or making it impossible to pay for it. We want answers, we want truth, and we want fairness.